Are we ready? What are we ready for, Mark?
That's a $64 question.
That's it.
What reminiscences do you have about barbecue that you'd like to share?
Oh, well, you know, I don't think I could tell one story without thinking of six. I do know that when we first started, Dean alluded to the Dyersburg contest. Well, we were hooked, of course, and into it. And back then, you didn't have to win a contest to get into Memphis in May if you knew the right people and do the right things. So we wound up going to Memphis in May, and primarily as we were sponsored by Everett Express Company, and primarily to be a place where all of their customers and employees and so forth could come and visit during Memphis in May. So we were basically a hospitality tent that was competing in barbecue. And we always made our own venue when we went in. One year, the first year we were there, we had a 20-foot diameter baseball cap. Had it made with the Everett logos and so forth on it. It was our tent. And I built a cooker for Everett that was a tractor trailer. And it won best cooker in Memphis in May. And we competed down there twice, and had a great time. It was a lot of hard work because we were feeding 400 and 500 people a day, plus
Just the judge.
and then we'd compete, you know. And we had some good times down there. And then just about along that time, Dean and I and our good friend George Sasser and his wife, we went to Boston to judge a barbecue contest and just have a long weekend out together. And that's where I met Gary Wells. He was running a contest up there. And we got to know each other pretty good, and he invited us to come to Kansas City to judge the Royal. Well, we did, and after that I was hooked in the KCBS type cooking, because number one, it is you cook something beside pork, and number two, the dog and pony shows and how much money you have does not have anything to do with how good your product is. And then the next year, the next September after that was when we started, we got ourselves sanctioned. We were the first Kansas City Barbecue Society sanctioned contest east of the Mississippi River. And we were the first state championship in Tennessee, and there are 14 state championships now in Tennessee.
One for each governor since then.
Well, no, anybody can get one. All you've got to do is get your local representative to submit it to the legislature, and they'll give you one. And and that's okay. I don't have any problem with that, because everybody wants to have a good time, and they want to. Most of them are always run by civic clubs or somebody like that, trying to raise money for a good cause, and that's good for everybody. But of all the cookings and judgings, and we cooked Memphis in May for about 4 years, and then left that and started cooking KCBS. And in the meantime of leaving Memphis in May and really getting into competing KCBS, we went to the Memphis in May judging school, then the KCBS judging school, simply to find out what the judges were theoretically looking for. That's what we were trying to find out. And that's the reason why we did judging pretty hard there for about 2 years. And then we got back into the cooking, and we stayed after it pretty good there for several years. We were doing 8 to 10, 12 contests a year, and all during when I came back from KCBS is when I founded the Cookeville Cook-Off. And our first one was a hamburger contest. And we had about 20, 25 teams. Had them from several towns all around. We did that one year. The next year we included barbecue. It still wasn't sanctioned. It was just a little local contest. And then the third year that we did it, which would have been 90, I guess, we were sanctioned by KCBS. And of course, then the thousands of miles that I've traveled over the years, we've covered a lot of territory.
How did you get pulled into the politics of KCBS?
It's kind of like the politics that I got into here at home. I ran for the city council in 1988, and the reason why I did, I feel that if you've been granted a good life in the community, you owe something back to that community. So I wanted to get on the city council. And the politics here in Cookeville are a little different because everybody runs for the city council. There's nobody runs for mayor or vice mayor. And the council votes, the person with the most votes is elected mayor. And that's where I wound up being the mayor of Cookeville for one 3-year term. And the same thing with KCBS. I saw some things that I thought needed changing, and I thought I had some managerial skills and some people skills enough to where I thought I could help, so that's when I ran for the board. It's real funny. The first time I ran for the board, I got beat by 1 vote. And the first meeting they had at KCBS after the election to swear in the new members, they had a member that had just gotten reelected that due to a health problem had to drop out. So they called me and asked me would I accept his term to finish out his 3-year term. And I did, and that's the reason I ran that time. I ran for that 3 years, and then the next 3 years I ran and got reelected again. And when I did, I said, you know, I've been on, this will make 6 years, and I think that's enough for anybody's. But that, I could have rerun last year, but I think 6 years was long enough, and they needed some other blood in there, and some more ideas, and I thought it was time for somebody else to come in.
Were you the first member outside the Kansas City mafia?
No, actually, the guy that beat me by 1 vote was Donnie Teal from Oklahoma. But when I came in, then after that, we wound up getting 4 people from the South elected, and then we got referred to as the Redneck Mafia, which we think is a compliment. But we got some good people on the board. The board's done a lot of good things.
Well, it's grown quite a bit.
Oh, the financial aspect of KCBS, when Gary asked me would I accept the presidency, I was, of course, very honored. But the one thing that when I looked at any non-for-profit has got to have, if you think it's for not-for-profit, you're crazy, because you got to make profit to operate a business, and that's what KCBS is. It's a business. And you have to have a backlog, a financial backlog that will suffice you in case of something horrible. And you know, you think, what if swine flu hits and nobody eats hogs? You know, we're dead. Barbecue contests are gone. Of course, the medicine and everything else would get it straightened out, and we'd go back to doing it. But we'd go through 2 or 3 real lean years. You've got to have enough financial backlog and enough financial stability to keep the organization running when you have hard times. And that was the one thing I was very, very pleased with what has happened to KCBS. They're a very sound financial organization. With the introduction of Mike McLeod as our public relations firm, MMA and Associates, we've made tremendous strides in financial stability for that organization.
And you have a few more contests.
We're up to over 300 now. And when I was first on the board, we had 120, I think. And it's just very slowly. Probably the greatest thing that has happened, or that did happen, to KCBS was the Food Network. That got everybody thinking about food. Before that, if you didn't watch Graham Kerr or Julia Child, you didn't see any cooking. They're just, well, Justin Wilson, the Cajun cook. But that was about the extent of any cooking shows that there were. And then the promos that the Food Network did by showing outdoor cooking and Dutch oven cooking and so forth, that brought grilling, really, what it started. And people don't understand that everybody in the United States has a grill. There are very few barbecuers, but we have everybody that grills. And that's the next great area for us to expand is in grilling. A lot of people don't want to spend from 9 o'clock Friday night till 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock Saturday afternoon sitting up staring at Boston butts and briskets. They're just not going to do it. But they will go home and pop a steak or a chicken or piece of lamb or some fish or something on a grill, and that's where the great new inroads that we need to go. That's what a lot of our cooking classes are beginning to show up that are teaching grilling. And I'm amazed at the shows on the Food Network now that are actually concerning grilling and barbecuing. And we've got a lot of people that teach classes. I'm not going to even name names, but they're good. They're all good, and they provide a very valuable service to the public in teaching them how to barbecue.
90% of the American public thinks that barbecuing is burned chicken.
Sure. Well, they don't know any better. Bless their little hearts. You know, they have. I get tickled when I'm doing a judging class, teaching a judging class. When we start talking about chicken, I always bring up the fact that before you get into, barbecuing, you really need to have a little bit of an idea about the science of foods and so forth. And most people don't realize that carbon burns, turns black. Well, they say, I don't have any carbon. I said, oh, yes, you do. You have sugar, which is a carbon compound. You have tomatoes, which is a carbon compound. And when you apply heat to that, they're going to turn black. And so that everybody has seen that chicken leg or chicken breast just black as coal tar because they put barbecue sauce on it the minute they stuck it on the grill. And they can't figure out how a barbecue cook can bring out that golden brown. It will not be burned, and that's one of the things that we teach in our classes that helps people learn.
Any other thoughts?
No, it's a lot of things have happened since I've been in barbecue the last 20 years, and I've seen it change completely in taste profiles of competitive foods. They've gone from good old pitmaster barbecue into a fruit glaze competition. This is my personal opinion now.
Gone from salty to sweet.
Yeah, well, you don't taste vinegar anymore. If you have vinegar, any vinegar flavor whatsoever in your sauce, you're dead. You are just dead. I personally do not like the barbecue that we turn in. That's not the barbecue I eat. I grew up on vinegar base. That's what I grew up in. The old North Carolina clear vinegar with crushed red pepper and a little bit of brown sugar in it, and dip a piece of pork in it. It's absolutely delicious. And the old vinegar tomato based sauces with a little heat. You put heat in it, and you're going to get killed in judging. We were in Atlanta just the other day, and I remember one of the judges said, "Oh, that was great barbecue, but it was spicy." Well, that's what barbecue's supposed to be. And to me, we've gotten away from, because I've judged ribs that had cinnamon in them, plum, peach. That's not barbecue. It wins, and that's therefore, if you're going to compete, you're not doing the judges are, and you've got to cook to the judges, whether you want to or not.
Where do you think barbecue's going from here? As a competitive sport and as a backyard pastime?
As a competitive sport, it's going to increase, simply because we get more money into the sport. I think you'll see what Mike McLeod has done with the tour and some things that he's done, how much sponsorship from people. There's just too much money to be made in it for them not to be. I think we're going to go to grilling contest. I think we really should. A lot of people just don't have the time.
As an adjunct or as a separate contest?
As a separate contest. I think we should have grilling contest, very similar to the backyard contest we have now, where you set up in the morning, you do your cooking, you turn in at 12, and you're out of there. You're not there for 3 days, like the others are. It takes a group of people that can leave, that have got to be able to take Friday off to get there.
Wednesday, really?
Yeah, Thursday. Well, George and my cooking partner and I, we leave on Thursday. We are always in the town that we're going to cook in on Thursday. We park our trailer, come back early Friday morning, set up, and then you get home. Then you got to clean everything up, and so and that takes Monday because you're too tired when you get back for being on the road. But it's going to continue, and I think it's going to be good for the American public. You're going to get more people into barbecue, and the reason why it is, bless our own little hearts, we're all a little bit lazy. So it's so easy to go out here and get a pellet cooker or a charcoal rotisserie that you can just load down, turn on, lay there on your cot, enjoy a good beverage, and not have to worry about that thing for 8 to 10 hours.
Because you dial up the heat.
Sure, you just adjust your heat and go on. We'll soon see gas being allowed.
Well, KCBS is there for one.
Yes, we've had two.
Two. What's the second company?
We had jumping Jim's up Michigan, Minnesota, or somewhere up Iowa, wherever he was. And there was another one somewhere, a small one. But I like Paul Kirk's attitude about that. Of course, Paul's a purist. He doesn't believe in aluminum foil. He doesn't believe in a lot of things. But his statement is, I'll take your cooker, your rub, and your sauce, and I'll beat you. Because it's all technique and timing. I think one of the greatest things I learned about that was George Sasser and I, my cooking partner, we bought a restaurant in Destin, Florida, and put 2 Southern Pride 500s in there and cooked barbecue for 5.5 years. And I don't care what kind of heat you got. You can cook on gas, and I'll cook on my Fast Eddie. I don't care. Or you can cook on your grill, and it doesn't matter. That's not what determines what the good cook is. The good cook is who knows the ability to blend his flavors, that knows timing and knows techniques, and has the ability to handle a problem or a disaster. You can be cooking Boston butts. We would put 30 on at the restaurant at a time, and we'd have 28 of them come off just dead perfect right on time. 2 of them would land there at 180 degrees. You couldn't get them any hotter if you burn them to a crisp. I don't know, but we don't know what kind of life that poor old pig lived, so you don't have a clue. It's funny, some people go out. I know one competitor bought 2 Wagyu briskets.
Cheap meat.
Yeah, probably well over $200 in those 2 briskets. He got beat with a guy that bought 2 of them at Sam's.
Made him feel good.
Sure, I know he did. That's the last time he ever did it. And we chased around trying to find prime brisket and so-called prime pork and so forth. You got to have a little bit of a knowledge at looking at the meat, whether it's a good color of meat. I know Mark, you and I were out barbecue 101 out at Texas A&M, and those people did one marvelous job of educating on you what to look for in a piece of pork or beef when it's in the grocery shelf. They did a good job.
There were 3 restaurant owners out there that said that course paid for itself by teaching them they've been buying wrong meat.
Yeah, they thought they were getting the right kind of meat, and they were getting the wrong kind of meat. I wish we talked about a collaboration on that thing. That would have been great. And it would be expensive, but just think of the people. They'll spend $500 to go out there for 3 days to do that. No heartbeat. And it's a shame that I don't know whether it's died. Since I've left the board, I haven't been as involved. But there's a good chance for that